Okay, ready? I need a motion to call the meeting to order. You ready?
Second.
All in favor?
Recreation Commission has.
Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, a moment of silence for the military serving in this country and around the world. Thank you. Your emergency exits are on your left and the rear, our right. And roll call, please.
Councilwoman Reamer? Here. Councilwoman Prodi? Here. Councilwoman Hitzelberger? Here. Supervisor Flood?
Here.
And noted that Councilwoman Doyle is absent.
She's on vacation, correct? First thing on the agenda is a public hearing for local law number 3 of 2013, a local law amending the Town of Amenia Town Code by adding a new chapter 119 entitled Water and a new Article 1 in chapter 119 entitled Cross Connection Control. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second. Right now, as soon as we keep going.
Is there any public comment on this law?
Yes. Sharon Kroger?
Do you want me to read what this intent of this law is? Can we read the intent from here?
It's up to you. You just have to.
It wouldn't be a
Take
bad
it.
idea.
All right, statement of purpose and intent. The purpose of this legislation is for the town of Amenia to establish rules in compliance with the state of New York Department of Health regulations which require suppliers of public water to prevent the possibility of contamination of secondary water sources or potential health hazards into the public water supply by requiring the users or customers to install an approved air gap reduced pressure zone device, double check valve assembly or equivalent protective device consistent with the degree of hazard posed by any service connection, and to requiring the users of such connections to submit plans for the installation of protective devices to the Town of Amenia Water Department operator, water superintendent, and/or the Dutchess County Department of Health for approval, depending on service connection size, and assuring that all protective devices are tested annually by a New York State certified backflow tester. The list of New York State certified backflow testers can be found at www.health.gov/environmental/water/drinking/cross backflow testers Dutchess. The Department of Health enabling regulations found at 10 NYCRR section 5-1.31 entitled Cross Connection Control. That's a synopsis of what this law is. Sharon?
That I have to say, that's the statement of purpose and intent.
All right, please.
What follows is very complex, and water anyway is complex. And in the town of Amenia, it is double complex because we have such a unique geographical situation and such a unique set of aquifers and access to water, which is really very different from other places. So while I can certainly relate to the statement of intent and the ideas that are here, which we're trying to accomplish, the way in which this is laid out is really inadequate, and the degree of discussion and thought abroad in the public has been inadequate for this. the model language that's being used here might apply to some very simple town in the middle of a plain where the streets go outward and you're just thinking of one entity in a simple way, but you don't have that in Amenia. You've had civilization here for 300 years, people drinking water in all of the 6 hamlets for 300 years, and all of the different water sources and structures for delivering water have been different in these various nooks and corners of the town. So you can't write something that is this simple for a pluralistic water situation like our town has. So I think it needs a lot more thought. Not that it shouldn't be done, and eventually it should be something should be passed. But this really is not the way it should be developed. And there are people who are specialists in thinking about these kinds of public health problems that some of us haven't yet had a chance to consult, because this thing came up very quickly and it appears to be hitting the decision-making too soon. Now, particularly when you get into this business of defining the supplier and the supplier of water, what's happening here is you're making Amenia as though it was one simple place, and you're equating it with a water district, which isn't at all what we have. I mean, historically, you've had different private water suppliers in the different hamlets. You've got a major state supplier in another part of the town, and you've had springs used by the public in other hamlets. I mean, we can be specific about this, but I'm just trying to lay out for the board why I think we really are going too fast with this. It would need to be changed and tailored to begin to deal with the nature of this town. And I would suggest that in addition to some of the people who live here who know a lot that haven't even been consulted, people like Norm Benson, who has a deep interest in this and has helped to design water systems throughout the county. He's concerned with it. I don't know that this has gone to the CAC, and they're concerned with the water supply and the way in which this is. Just your in-house people haven't even had a chance to think about it yet. And then I think we have some countywide people that are very good that can help us with it, including the fellow from Chazen who did the study of our aquifer in some detail. So I think that the language where you're dealing with suppliers and the responsibilities that you're giving to the town, the town would be totally inadequate to do what it appears that they think the town can do. You have some towns where all the water comes from a spigot that the town controls, and then the town can do those things. But you've got water and aquifers all the way around this mountain coming from different places, and you have to think about that. It isn't just one place. If you're using the whole town the way you are in that supplier section. Now, the other thing is that the water operator, when you're talking about water superintendents and operators, the professional roles here have to be much more carefully defined. It cannot just be, okay, some guy's got a license so he can do this. This is a lot more thought has to go in. So I would just close with that and say that you need more inputs, and let's try to get them. And I'll take some responsibility for trying to get some also and keep you all posted. I won't just, I'm not trying to be a fly in the ointment here, but this happened too fast, too quick, and nobody's had a chance to think about it.
Mr. Nelligan.
Patrick Nelligan. I live on Lavelle Road, on a pond. I don't have a well. But if I had a well, and I'm not hooked up to the town water system, and I decided I could drill a well, which I can't because I'm too close, but let's take that for instance, I would certainly have to comply with whatever the water district operator said I would have to comply with for him to hook up to my property. I don't understand why we need a law about that. For the backflow stuff and the other stuff that I've just heard about. why do we need a law if someone taps into our hamlet, which I think is Sharon's idea, it's just the hamlet, it's not the rest of the town, but as it expands, if somebody wants to hook up to the town of Amenia water system, the operator would of course make sure that he complies with the law. That's his job. He has a license to do that. Why do we need a law about that? Where did it come from, by the way? Where did this law come from? This document that Sharon's looking at. Please?
It's in the Department of Health
No,
regulation.
no, this law. This written law. Did you write it?
I did.
You
I
did.
prepared it.
And when were you tasked to write the law?
I don't remember exactly, but sometime earlier this year.
Earlier this year. When did it come up at a public meeting? This law?
It's been
It's
floating
been-
around for a while.
Well, when? I checked minutes all the way back through June. I didn't find anything. And agendas
It's
for
been
June,
all-
July, and
It's
August.
been brought up by the Water Commission for a while. Yeah,
The Water Commission brought it up?
yeah.
Actually, it was a directive,
Yeah,
it was
please.
a directive from the Department of Health when they did our sanitary test on our water. They're the ones that pointed out to us that we did not have any type of regulation for cross-contamination.
Okay. And then
We've had a couple versions of this.
well, that's what I'm asking. When was the last version, and has it changed since then?
Yeah, it's changed.
Then why are we having a public hearing if we don't have the final draft of
Well,
the
no,
law?
it's-
And
This is
We've
the
had the
final.
final draft since the last board
What-
meeting on August 8th.
where is that available?
I have a copy of it. I can.
Well, I
give
don't
you-
even know where your office is. Where is it available for me to get?
Well, I can give you a copy. I have a copy right now.
Well, that's nice now.
It's in the town clerk's office.
It's in the
What?
town
Posted
clerk's.
on, it was posted on the bulletin board after the last town board meeting on August 8th. Not only is the public notice, but also the law is posted on the bulletin board.
It wasn't on the August 8th agenda. I'll tell you that. I checked. I checked every agenda. I didn't see a thing.
You guys discussed it.
I agree with Sharon. I think, first of all, July and August, you guys seem to be doing an awful lot in July and August. Tom, you seem to be doing an awful lot in July and August. And I understand why boards like to do that. And I've complained about this ad infinitum. Everybody's away. Why wouldn't you do this now? So nobody pays any damned attention. I really think you should postpone this. If the last draft has been within the last week or two, and nobody knows it, and it's not on the website, is it a copy of this?
No, it's posted, what's required to be posted on the website is the public hearing notice. That's what's posted on the
Yes,
website.
I'm asking if it was posted on the website.
The public
No.
hearing notice.
Is there a
Public hearing.
reason you wouldn't post a law on the website?
You don't have to.
I know you don't have to. I asked if there's a reason you wouldn't, other than you don't want anybody to know it.
No, that's not true at all.
That mostly everybody has complied with this law.
You got to speak, Mike.
You gotta watch YouTube. Marco's been talking about it for the last 3 meetings.
Yeah, I know Marcus was talking about it. It must be to his
Tonya, you
advantage.
signed up, you wanted to speak
All right.
on this law.
Okay, thank
Tonya
you.
Shumatoff.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Tonya Shumatoff, and I'm also speaking about a water-related issue, but it's about flooding.
No,
And,
we're still at the public hearing comment.
Just the public hearing.
oh, this is just for the public hearing?
Just for the public hearing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Is there
All right.
anyone else want to speak about this local law?
Down here. That's okay.
Okay. I'll
That's
make-
all I have for signed up comments
All right, on this one.
on this one.
Okay. What's the board want to do?
I think, some of the references in here, I feel I would need to review as well, and I would just like a little more time. It's been, not all of us have been away, but many of us have been busy, and I think it's worth taking the time and doing it right. Local laws are very important. They're hard to revisit and reassess. I'd rather do it before we take any final action on it. That would be my opinion.
Then, if that's the case, then I think we need to continue the public hearing.
Gretchen?
I don't think we've discussed the main issues of it. The reason I seconded it for public hearing at the last meeting is because I wanted public awareness and discussion on it and not to have it discussed as a backroom issue. I've gone through this, and I've gone through the Department of Health regulations that it references, and I think it has, I think it expands the scope of the regulations too much, and I think it is invasive on private property owners' rights and their appeals for it. I don't agree with a lot of the verbiage in it. I understand the intent is to get us in compliance with the Department of Health regulation, but according to the Department of Health regulation, until we have our own public law, the Department of Health regulation, which is much more lenient when it comes to private property owners, is applicable for the town. So at this time, there's no way I would vote for this.
Okay. I agree with both of you. But to answer some of your questions, some of the buildings that have been renovated have been done, are compliant with this. Are compliant with the health department rules and regulations. This is a health department requirement that we have to do.
What buildings renovated?
My building.
Oh, I wasn't referring to any.
No, I know, but some of the buildings have been done already. They've been brought up to compliance with these. As we move forward, other buildings that are being done.
That's what I assume
that's
Mara
right.
will do. He'll make sure that
Well, the building department, John makes it to make sure it gets done also, but some have not been done. So that's why we need some more clarification as to what we can do.
Well, it needs guidelines, but I'm not
Sure.
sure you need this thing again.
Well, right, I agree.
That's-
I agree. So I'll make a motion that we extend the public hearing, extend the public
Yeah,
hearing?
continue the public.
Continue the
Continue
public hearing until a further time so we can come up with a better resolution.
That way, I mean, it's up to you. You could close the public hearing, but if you continue it, you can
What are
continue
we
to
on a
hear.
time frame, or is there a different time frame?
Yes, then you
For
have to have another
continuing the
public
public hearing? As long as you keep it, you just keep it
Or
open.
we just close it and then just redo the law?
Well, it's up to you.
Well,
what you're
if we
gonna
keep the
do.
public hearing open,
It's open.
then it's open for this as it's written.
Correct. So
I would say close the public hearing on this.
That's what I
Continue the
local law has to
discussion, but
be in its
close.
final form
Yeah.
for at least 7 days before you adopt it.
Okay.
So if you make any changes to
That's
it,
it.
we'll have to reintroduce.
I'll rescind my motion. I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I second.
Councilman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilman Brody?
Yes.
Councilman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
And Supervisor Fudge?
Yes. Local law number 4 of 2013 of amending the Town of Amenia Code by adding a new chapter 25 purchase contracts based on best values. Is there any public comment on this?
There's no public comment. No one signed up for public comment.
Do you want to bring us up to speed, Ian, as to what this is?
This is a local law. Last year, beginning of last year, the legislature amended Section 103 of the General Municipal Law, which is the statute that applies to public bidding. And the amendment allowed municipalities to award bids for purchase contracts based on best value in addition to lowest responsible bid. The advantage of that is it gives the municipality more flexibility in awarding purchase contracts. It doesn't apply to public works contracts, just purchase contracts. But you can apply additional criteria In addition to lowest responsible bid, you can consider things such as capitalization of the bidder, the ability of the bidder to hold prices, bidder's capacity to guarantee deliveries during periods of short supply, reliability of service technicians, and emergency repair.
But it still has to meet within the requirements of the bid, right? You just can't open the price,
You still have to, this applies to purchase contracts that are required to go to public bid. So this would be purchase contracts where the expected price is $20,000 or more.
Okay.
It doesn't preclude you from awarding the bid based on the lowest responsible bidder. It just gives you an additional criteria that you can consider. In order to follow this, you have to adopt a local law. And in addition, this local law specifically says that you've got to put language in your notice to bidders that says you have the authority to award bids based on best value, and also to put that language in your bid specifications.
I have to open a public hearing, correct?
It does include the service contracts, though, so it's all purchase and service.
Purchase and service
Service
contracts.
contracts.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
It just,
So
it doesn't,
basically, if you had a contractor that's worked, that's done a great job, you could, if it's within reason, you could award it to him.
well,
Is that basically what it's saying?
it doesn't mean that you have to, that you can forego
Right.
the criteria. You should have a finding that you're basing the award of the bid based on the best value, and specifically what those criteria are that you're.
I think it would be more like if the contractor was consistently able to deliver service within less than 24 hours, whereas where the rest of the bidders were not able to, but this contractor, even though their price was like number 2 instead of number 1, we would be able to go with that bid because of that best value for service.
Correct. If there's a need for getting whatever it is you're purchasing, the supply, in a short period of time, and you know that a bidder has a better reputation for being able to deliver in a short period of time, you could use that criteria to award the bid.
But going forward, we have to have this language in all of our bid packages.
In your advertisement to bids and in the bid packages, correct.
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing for local law number 4 of 2013.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Raymond?
Yes.
Hold on.
Arlene Giuliano?
Hold, 1 minute.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hesselberger?
Yes.
Supervisor Klein?
Yes. Arlene?
The term best values that you just referred to, which sounds pretty important, also sounded a little open-ended, which maybe it's supposed to be. It throws more subjectivity into the deal, right? Meaning your idea, whatever, so to speak. Or is it more defined than what I'm just saying?
Well, the term best value is defined.
Specifically?
It is defined specifically.
Not too many subjective terms in there? I know what you read, but
It's defined.
Could you read it?
It's defined in the local law, and the definition is based on the definition contained in the state finance law. And the definition in the proposed local law is the term best value shall have the meaning as that contained in section 163, 1J of the state finance law, to wit, the basis for awarding contracts for services to the bidders which optimizes quality, cost, and efficiency among responsive and responsible bidders. Such basis shall reflect, wherever possible, objective and quantifiable analysis. Such basis may also identify the quantitative factors for bidders who are small businesses or certified minority or women-owned businesses to be used in evaluation of offers for awarding contracts for services. So it has to be the criteria.
There's subjectivity in there.
Well, I mean,
I understand.
That's the.
But I mean, that's going to be a
That's
little
the idea,
difficult
that this
to explain
is
sometimes,
State of
but,
New York.
Right.
all right, thank you.
Thank you for smoking that out.
All right.
Huh?
I said it. Thank you for smoking
I
your
mean,
out.
I can't think of something.
Damn right.
If you didn't think.
Devin Kyle. I just wanted to say, is there, if this were not passed, is there anything that forces the town to go for the lowest bidder? Is that currently the only evaluating?
That is.
We've done things differently. In the past, we have not accepted the lowest bid sometimes.
Correct.
There's some exceptions.
With exceptions. With exceptions.
Yeah, you have to qualify with the exception of
It's the lowest responsible bidder.
responsibility.
So if you're not accepting the lowest responsible bidder, you've got to have a good reason not.
We've done.
Right. Any other public comment? I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Councilman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilman Prodi?
Yes.
Councilman Hitzberger?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Is everyone okay with moving forward with this?
Yeah, I wish it were with things like lawn mowing, but it's a start.
We'll be part of it, right. Resolution number 61 of 2013, adoption of local law number 4 of 2013, adding a new chapter 25 of the town code authorizing the town board to award purchase contracts based on best value at a regular meeting of the town board of the town of Amenia. Town board held at the town hall of the Amenia Town Hall on 22nd day of August 2013 at 7 p.m. Supervisor Flood, seconded by
Second?
Councilwoman Reamer. Moved to the following resolution to adopt a local law to be known as local law number 4 of 2013, entitled a local law amending the town of Amenia Town Code by adding a new chapter 25 entitled Purchase Contracts. Whereas the following local law was introduced as local law number 4 of 2013 by resolution number 60 of 2013 at a meeting of the town board held on August 8, 2013, and whereas a properly noticed public hearing was held before the town board during the meeting on August 22nd, 2013 on local law number 4 of 2013, and whereas the adoption of local law authorizing all boards and officers of the town to award purchase contracts on the basis of best value in accordance with section 103 of the General Municipal Law is a type 2 action on the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and is therefore exempt from environmental review. And now therefore be enacted by the town board of the town of Amenia as follows. Section 1, statement of purpose and intent. On January 27, 2012, an amendment to section 103 of the New York General Municipal Law went into effect, which provided that purchase contracts of local governments, including contracts for service work but excluding any purchase contracts necessary for the completion of a public works contract pursuant to Article 8 of the New York State Labor Law, may be awarded on the basis of best value as defined in section 163 of the New York State Finance Law to a responsive and responsible bidder or offerer in the matter provided by section 103 of the General Municipal Law provided by the local government and awarding the purchase contract has been authorized by local law to award purchase contracts based on best value. The best value bidding option is in addition to and not in substitution of the lowest responsible bidder option. Authorizing the town board to award bids for purchase contracts based on the best value will allow the town board to evaluate bidders based on criteria other than just the amount of the bid. Such other criteria including the experience of the bidder, the capitalization of the bidder, the ability of the bidder to hold prices, the bidder's capacity to guarantee deliveries during periods of short supply, the reliability of service technicians, and the emergency repair of the bidder. The town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town for the town board to be able to evaluate bidders on purchase contracts by these additional criteria rather than price alone. Section 2, the town code of Amenia is hereby amended by adding a new chapter 25 of the town code to read as follows. Chapter 25, purchase contracts, section 25-1, authority to award contracts based on best value. The town board or officers of the town of Amenia that is authorized to solicit bids and award purchase contracts shall have the authority to award purchase contracts which are required to be awarded by public bid in accordance with section 103 of the general municipal law, including contracts for service work on the basis of best value as that term is defined in section 163 of the state finance law, to responsive and responsible bidders in a manner provided by section 103 of the general municipal law. Section 125.2, language in notice to bidders, all purchase and service contracts awarded based on the best value contain a statement which in the notice to bidders in the contract specifications indicating that the town has the authority to award the contract based on best value. Section 25-3 definition. The term best value shall have the same meaning as that contained in section 163, 1J of the state finance law, to wit, the basis for awarding contracts or for services to the bidders which optimizes best quality, cost, and efficiency among responsible and responsible bidders. Such basis shall reflect, wherever possible, objective and quantifiable analysis. Such basis may also identify a quantitative factor for bidders who are small businesses or certified minority or women-owned businesses to be used in evaluation of offers for awarding contracts or services. Section 25-4, direction of staff. The town board will direct staff to identify appropriate evaluative criteria and award the contract award methodologies for general use in awarding purchase contracts by best value method. Section 3, the local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the state's Secretary of State. The following resolution was voted upon with all women councilmen voting as follows.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilman Doyle? Councilman Perotti?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Raymer?
Yes.
I need a motion to close the public hearing. Did we do that right?
I'm not sure that's the number.
We should have closed the public and then voted.
60.
All right. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. I need a motion to return to the regular meeting.
You making that in one motion?
Sure.
Second.
Councilwoman Raymer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Do you want to re-vote on that again?
For the regular, do you want to?
Yeah, we better just in case.
Now that we're outside?
Right. All right, we're going to re-vote on
Supervisor
this.
Flood?
I thought you had already closed the public hearing.
No, we closed
No.
the other one.
He
Oh,
closed
it's the
the
other
other
one.
one, he opened it, and then he read it aloud, and you guys had a discussion before we
Okay.
opened it.
Okay.
Okay, Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle, absent. Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Raymer?
Yes.
Okay, now we return to the regular meeting.
Yes.
Public comments.
Sharon Kroger? Oh, there's a list. You're number 7. All of these individuals were here before you and signed up.
I'm going to try to keep this to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yep, you already slid.
Some while ago, maybe a year ago, I came and told you that I wasn't going to be able to be at meetings often because I have another commitment that takes place in another location on Thursday nights, and it's the 2nd and 4th. So this is a conflict, and that's why you've never seen me for a long time. However, tonight I have to drop this on you because it's waited too long. And what I'm going to say may be too fast for somebody that may want to read about it, and I'm going to put these copies on my chair as I leave so that anyone who wants a copy can take it and not to burden those who don't want it. But that's basically a summary of what I'm going to try to say. This is in regard to a regional problem that affects 10 towns, 5 in Connecticut, 5 in New York State. We are one of them. Most of the action has taken place in other places, and you haven't been bothered with this particular struggle, but you're going to have to at least know that it's happening because we've got an Article 78 in the courts in Poughkeepsie, which seems to have taken hold, and therefore it's something that could be written about in any of the papers anytime, and you need to know that it's happening. Basically, all of our towns are used to thinking that what happens internally is internal, and that's it. You just don't mess with somebody else's town. However, the planning board in the town of Northeast several years ago entertained an idea of constructing a 36,000 square foot megastore right on the state line, just on the New York side, of course, on Highway 44 on the way into Lakeville. And this would be a food store of sorts, but it also, being that huge, would also be able to sell everything from pharmaceuticals to liquor to clothing to plants and things of this kind. So it would be a real killer if you look at it from that point of view. Now, it was not just a question of whether it was going to put 10 other food stores in 10 towns out of business. It was also an issue of there being bog turtles nearby, there being protected lands that were being ignored. And so after 2 years of discussion, the planning board there wrote a 37-page document to explain why it would have no impact whatsoever, not on the community character and not on the wildlife and the nature. So this called forth a regional Article 78, which is the only way that the DEC law can be followed. And so this case is now pending in Poughkeepsie, and I just wanted you all to know about it. And if you want to read in a little more detail, there's something there. It doesn't give you the detailed environmental aspects, but it gives you enough that you can see what's happening. And I would suggest that you grab a copy if you want to know more. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Sharon.
The only question I have is the legality of someone filing an Article 78 and using the verbiage Town of Amenia and Wassaic in the name of the Article 78 that they have filed.
I'm not sure the Article 78 that she referred to.
Yeah, the Article 78 that she has started has the name Town of Amenia and Town of Wassaic in it.
Sharon?
I thought she was referring to town, there's an Article 78 pending against Town of Northeast.
Yes, but in the name of the Article 78 includes the Town of Amenia and the Town of Wassaic. And I just wondered about the legality of someone just taking the names of our towns and putting it into Article 78 without any discussion with our town.
Well, I'd have to look at maybe they put it in the caption. I don't know why they would do that. As far as I know, the Town of Amenia hasn't been served.
No, they haven't, but it gives the idea that the Town of Amenia and the Town of Wassaic are part of this legal action, and we are not.
Well, I can check on the caption for the petition that was filed with the court, and to see if that was the case. If you weren't served, there's no way that the petitioner can obtain any type of relief against the Town of Amenia.
Well, I'm not saying she's not looking for relief, the Town of Amenia. She's just saying, I am filing this Article 78, and I am doing it on behalf of towns, Amenia, Wassaic, and whatever other towns there are. And I am just questioning whether anybody can just go file an Article 78, use the name of our town, and say, we're filing an Article 78 for the towns of Amenia, Wassaic, whatever. That's the only question.
They shouldn't do it if
because when I read it in the paper, that's what it said.
Well, that's a legal grounds to dismiss it.
Against, if they name the Town of Amenia, they're, again...
She didn't do that.
It's paid advertising.
Stop against
Yeah.
the
Let me check to see what's in the the
Yeah,
caption of
Well, that's
the-
what I'm asking. I mean,
Yeah.
can you just look at it?
I can,
Okay.
and that's something I can
Because I don't
access.
know if it's the way it was presented in the newspaper or not, but I think it's something we should look at.
So let me find out. I can tell you that if town of Amenia was not served and there's no relief requested against them, there, you know, your
Right.
rights aren't jeopardized at
Anybody can
all.
file an Article 78,
Correct.
regardless of whatever they want to do, they can file it.
Let me see what it is.
But not
'cause
use our name.
Well,
Sure, they can use
they
any name they
could
want.
have done it. I don't know. I doubt that that's the case, but I'll check. If it
Well,
did
can
happen.
you look at it? Please look at it.
I will.
Okay.
If it did happen, I can tell you that your rights are not jeopardized. I understand you know, it's uncomfortable knowing that you're named in a lawsuit. And there would, you know,
Well, that's,
there are
I
things that
just,
we could
I
try to
just
do. I
wanted
don't
you
know
to
whether
look
it
at
would
it
be
and
worth
see.
pursuing that. But the bottom line is they can't obtain any relief against the town of Amenia unless they've
Well,
made
nobody's looking
allegations
for
in the
relief from the
complaint.
town of Amenia. That's
Right.
not the point.
Um,
That's not the point.
But
It's
let me
just
see
using
what
the
the
name.
the
But I wanted you to
caption
just look
actually
at it.
says.
Okay? Dawn? Nope.
No. Sit.
Peter Kessel.
Peter?
Oh, one for Vicky. Sorry.
So this is in regard to the event that I spoke about at the
How are you,
June...
Peter?
Sorry?
How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Sorry to take time for a less weighty matter, but I want to move forward with the event I spoke about, and I took all of the things that we discussed and tried to put it in a cohesive package here. And the two things that first thing I want is approval to go ahead and do this. Secondly, I will need certain things. I'll need a budget that for the bands as laid out here, etc. I will need a contact from the town to work with me on the creative, which we'll need right away, which I will take care of making. And some other things like I need the mailing list. They're all laid out here. So this is basically permission to go ahead and official approval that, you know, you want me to do this and that you understand what, you know, I'm proposing. And I need to know if there will be next steps other than no. So.
Do you have any idea as to what it's going to cost? It's about the Sundowner.
Nobody introduced this.
Oh, okay. This is about an event similar to the Amenia Music Hall performances that were held here, which you may have not known about.
Did you want to read your flyer, Peter?
Sorry?
When you want to read the flyer so
Oh,
everybody
okay.
knows what it is? Thank you.
Okay. Plan for September 28th event. This plan of action below is based on the proposal I spoke about with the board in June, incorporating the points we discussed. The September 28th show will be a free admission outdoor event staged similarly to the Sundowner. Everybody knows what that is, right? There will be 4 bands. Activities for children, security, as well as sanitary facilities will be provided by the town. Food will be for sale by the fire company, if we get their permission. Beer and wine by a concessionaire. Parking will be coordinated by the town. The hours will be approximately 7 p.m. to midnight. Peter Cascone Productions will design and execute promotion for the event, as well as identify, engage, and manage the staging of the bands. PCP will provide a master of ceremonies, which is most likely to be me. I am seeking the board's approval to move ahead with the following. Obtain an approved budget from the town to pay for the bands and advertising. And then engage or contact Dixieland solo performers, bluegrass and rock bands to perform. Arrange with the fire company, and I've just approached them, to use the use of their tent and dance floor, as well as for them to sell hot dogs and hamburgers, which they do very well and manage that themselves. I would begin immediately with the promotion on the Media Music Hall website, social media, and I would immediately start designing posters and signs for the town to review, which is why I need somebody to show them to that can say yay or nay or change that, put that in, etc. I wanted to obtain the mailing list from the town and do 2 mailings, one as soon as possible, coordinating with whatever publicity is being done for the community event of the same day, which the community event is still planned for the same day?
Yes, Community Day is
So
September 28th.
I would want to coordinate whatever publicity for this with that, and I assume that some has already been done on that behalf. Has any publicity been done for that?
Yes.
Okay, so to use that as helpful, that we will be advertising it as one event, essentially. And if people want to volunteer and work with me on this, I'd be glad to have help. And that's it.
Have you talked with the rec people?
With
recreation as far as involving them early on? The Sundowner, they were a big help.
Yes,
in
and
doing
I
all
think
that.
I said coordinate with the music event, with the community event scheduled that day. So I would
Yeah,
be
we have
working-
a recreation commission.
Yeah, so I would,
Okay.
are they also in charge of the other event that's happening that day?
No.
Oh, they're not, okay.
No, but they might be able to give you a hand, so you should reach out to Christine Ford.
I'm sorry?
Christine Ford.
She's the chairman.
She's the chairman of the Recreation Committee.
Of the rec committee?
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
do you spell the
community.
last name?
Ford.
Community Day is actually put on at the Indian Rock Schoolhouse by the Board of Directors of Indian Rock.
And is that, but that is that a Town of Amenia event?
No.
It's not really, so it's a separate event.
Yes.
Okay, but would it be appropriate to advertise, go to that in the morning and come to the show at night?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay, well,
Do you
that's
have an idea what the budget would be?
what the,
Cost of the band?
well, based on what the productions have cost that I staged, should I name a dollar amount? Ideally, $4,000 to $5,000.
How much?
$4,000 to $5,000. And that's based on doing a show indoors and collecting admission. Obviously, a free event's going to get a lot more people. And I guess if the town's purpose is to provide a community event, I don't know how much they want to invest in that. And, that's open for discussion.
Well, the problem, the issue is, at this point, the Sundowner was done for free. It was all donated.
Including the bands, right?
Yep.
Well, if we can't charge admission, then somebody has to pay for the bands. Unless they donated free, I can attempt to get everyone to play for free. I probably won't get the same, I know I won't get the same caliber of performer. I know that's a lot of money, and there are many more important things to spend it on. But when the Sundowner event was in progress, there was a discussion about a budget for bands, and that's where I came up with that number. And it's also basically what it cost me about half that to pay for the bands for the last event. So if $2,000 is a budget, then I can work with that. But free is not going to be a realistic budget for quality performers. So if you want to make the range 2 to 5, then, and if it's out of the question, then that's why I want to have this meeting, because in the past I've paid for the bands.
Who arranged for the band at the Sundowner then? Was it Aaron?
I think Aaron Bailey.
Bailey?
See, the Lions Club donated stuff, they paid for one of the bands and somebody else. We paid for the bouncy house for the kids. But we had several organizations.
Yeah, and I think you need some depth to the, depth
That's why it was
of
free.
organizations.
That's why we didn't have to charge admission.
Well, we'd like to keep it free. I think that's the whole point of like the Sundowner.
The only
People
thing
came.
that sold was the fire company
right, yeah.
Well, I think it's probably too late for me to get that kind of commitment from organizations like that. So I don't know if that precludes doing it, but
Well, I don't know, did you approach the Lions? Because
I haven't approached the Lions Club.
I don't think it's ever too late. I mean, you know, they,
Also, food towns donate.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think
Maybe.
also there were some private funds that were donated too, that helped, which I think, we could probably get some, but.
Is there someone from the town who has, or already has these contacts that could help me with that? Because starting from scratch is
Well,
hard,
The recs, yeah, the rec line.
The rec department, I would call Christine Ford and see where she is with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the resolution here would be that I will attempt to fund the event as far as bands, et cetera, and advertising from private funds that I will raise through various
What I think
organizations.
you need to do, Peter, is come up with a definite number as to what it's going to cost.
Okay.
And then let us know, and then we'll see if we can solicit some funds from other people and so on and so forth that helped pay for this thing the last time. I think the town wants to have it. It's important to have it done, but we just have to make sure that we can get
Sure.
get the funds available to do it.
But I think.
Well, the
like-
bottom line is always the key thing, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
but the other organizations, you know, Lions Club and Christine Ford, you know, they know who to contact to make it work. And they did such a good job before.
Well, may I contact them on behalf of the town, or is from Peter Cascone Productions asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think the town board, I'm not going to speak for the town board, but I think that I would like to see it happen.
Okay.
It was a great thing, something free for people that can come out and have a good time.
September 28th can be very cold. I produced the Peace Festival on that date.
All right,
and
let's
I
not
just
get
want
into
you to be
I
aware
think
it
that-
All right, let's go.
I think that as long as you're not authorizing anything, it would be absolutely fine to,
Authorizing.
as long as you didn't say, oh, if you give us,
Yeah.
$500, the town will give you $500
Oh, in
kind
other
of thing.
words, if there's,
Yeah,
if there's no
think,
quid pro quo involved.
yes, I think it would be
I think,
fine.
actually, if you contacted some of these people, you know what you need to make this happen. Whatever it is from the Lions Club or the rec.
Well,
if
you
you're-
can always do the
you-
golden and the silver and the other
No.
different types of.
No, but I think the board always has to be informed. I'd be happy to be liaison. You
Okay.
can call me, and tell me, well, rec can do this, or,
Well,
the Lions Club is going to participate in some way. Something where we're always in the loop that I can keep
well, if
everybody
there's an
informed.
expectation of what I could raise from each.
That's Frankie's son.
Oh.
That's cute.
That's nice.
Where is this event being held?
Right here.
Right outside there.
This is town property?
Yes.
Yes.
And you're going to allow alcohol, is that it?
It's always, yes, it has been done in the past.
That's,
The only times I've been.
that's okay?
Yeah, fine by me.
It's okay.
I don't mind it's okay by you.
Yeah.
I second
It's
that.
legal for the town to allow alcohol.
Pat's running the concession, so he's.
I doubt it.
As long as you don't arrange,
He arranges
All
the
right,
insurance.
all right, let's
Yeah.
get it under control here.
So I heard the mention of Food Town. If someone has a contact, it's much easier if I'm introduced. They might be interested in promoting
Probably
it.
have to go through the recreation. I'm on the commission, but.
Oh, okay.
Coming to the-
All right, so I'm going to speak to
Christine Ford.
Christine Ford.
Doesn't hurt Pete to tell them to
Why don't we just go into business and drive everybody else out of the town, and the town board take over every business there is? That's what it sounds like you're doing. Excuse me.
That's quite all right.
Okay.
I'll,
You talk to Darlene the next day or
Yes.
two, and we'll get things moving.
Yes.
All right?
okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you very much
Okay.
for
Thanks, Peter.
letting me speak.
Pat?
Just an idea that the town might want
At the microphone,
to,
so everybody can hear you.
everybody can hear me anyway.
Mr. Nelly.
Mr. Nelligan. Pat Nelligan again. Just an idea. The town might want to backstop it for about $1,000 just to get him started because it's kind of late. And ask for donations at the thing. And what you don't make up, I'll pay the difference. But get it started. I like the idea. I don't think you're going to get away with totally free at this
No.
stage. It's too late.
It's too late.
About $1,000, you backstop it.
Could we have that
I'm on
in
the
writing?
record. Whatever you don't, just ask for donations. No admission.
Well, I think we can get the donations to do it. It's just a matter.
But
Okay, just give us a little bit.
Whatever you don't
Unfortunately,
get-
he's very late getting his to us.
that's what I'm saying.
Right. Okay?
Matt, is that your public comment?
Yes. Are you it?
That's it? All right, then Stephen. I don't know if you realize he's
Stephen
Brody.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stephen Perotti, and I actually work for the Hotchkiss School, but I'm not representing them tonight. I'm representing an idea as to what we can do with the future of this town hall to make things a little bit more cost effective for the taxpayers here. I know that a few of the board members toured our biomass facility over there in Lakeville, Connecticut. I'm sure you guys were quite impressed. I can say that, for a fact that they've saved about over $800,000 as opposed to burning fossil fuels with oil. And basically what it is, it's a biomass facility where they burn wood chips, and we have the underground steam pipes that basically heat the entire campus. I was speaking with one of our head plumbers. His name is Dave DeAndrea, and he had mentioned that it can not only be used for heating, but it can also be used for cooling. And so I think that this would be a good idea for the board's consideration for a possible future for the being that we have aging boilers that are burning oil. The way that this system works, what you're left with is just ash. And I know that the alternative uses for it is, I believe that the farm program is using it as compost for their vegetable program. Don't quote me on that. But it is good for use for fertilizer. Now, what would happen is if it would be used for cooling, you would have what was called an absorption chiller package version with the biomass boiler that would be able to be put in place. And so it could quite possibly be run year-round. And being that our supplier is fairly in close proximity with J&J Lumber, I think we could have a scaled-down version for this town hall that would be beneficial. Also, we have other options we can do. I know that you guys have discussed geothermal, which is a pretty good alternative as well, something to be pursued. Solar energy is also a good alternative to be pursued. But the main thing is to make, I know that we've taken on a huge responsibility with this new school and making it into a town hall. And whatever we can do to alleviate the cost on our taxpayers in the town of Amenia and the hamlet of Wassaic, that would be a wonderful thing that we could do. And I think just being open-minded, working together, I think we can get to that conclusion. And you know, there are other things we can do. I know we had that NYSERDA grant that was used to make this building a little bit more friendlier as far as insulation goes. And I think that that's something that we really need to look at. Also, as a way to kind of put ourselves on the map, you know, as being, you know, ahead of the curve and willing to go green. And on that note, you know, I thank you for your time, and you know, if you have if any of the other board members that haven't had a chance to tour our facility over there, I would be glad to set that up for you, and you can come at any time. Thank you.
That was quite impressive, and Bill and I met with someone on Monday, and I'm sending them the plans. This is with a Mitsubishi units in the building that also create heat and air conditioning. So we're looking at everything, and I think that biomass, I was on that tour, I was quite impressed. Of course, that is massive. It generates energy for the whole campus, but So we need to look into small scale, as a backup. We're talking about a backup boiler even with geothermal. So if we had a backup boiler that was biomass and a steady supply, which is green wood, high moisture content, which surprised me, from J&J lumber. And the residue ash is so small, and it is used on the community gardens. It is, So I was quite impressed with it. I think we're looking at all the combinations. We have to make this building cost effective. So, yeah, we're looking at it. Keeps us busy.
Thank you. Evelyn?
Evelyn O'Connell from Recreation. Well, now that the summer program is coming to a close, I would just like to say a few words and say how fortunate we are to have Victoria Parodi as our liaison to the town board. She has always been very supportive of our programs and especially kept baseball and summer rec on track despite some difficult times. Most people don't know. We had numerous problems down at Beekman Park. The sewer, the bathrooms, and the gutter drainage were all not working. It happened during the torrential rainstorm. Victoria mobilized Stanley, his crew, the maintenance people, the volunteers, and flood sanitation. And it took 2 days, but she was there for anything they needed to complete the repair. Thankfully, it was finished before our baseball schedule started, and also Weebatuck, we share the baseball fields with them. And so their schedules were not interrupted. We also had some serious electrical problems with the park lights and the wiring in the concession stand. The park lights had some exposed wires and overgrown trees near the lights. The concession stand had wiring not up to code, and it was all corrected, and some outlets were replaced. The summer program, due to a larger enrollment than usual and a few other issues, an adjustment to the payroll was needed to start the program on time. Thankfully, Victoria mediated that and solved the issues. After a failed attempt to start the senior trip, Victoria, with the help of Charlene Pollinger, just completed the first trip, which everyone enjoyed and praised. Our recreation purchase orders were being delayed, which needed to be processed in a timely manner to acquire the equipment for baseball to begin on time. Victoria interceded and moved this along to get the process on time. These are just a few of the things that showed and solved and accomplished for the recreation, besides all her other duties. Victoria always puts the citizens of Amenia in the forefront for our recreation program. She is a tireless worker and for all, from children to the seniors. I personally am very thankful for her dedication to our recreation program. Without her, this program would not be a success. I personally also want to thank all the coaches, parents, volunteers, maintenance staff, summer rec employees, concession stand staff, senior trip and picnic staff for all their time and interest in our program, because without them there would not be as successful. Volunteers are the backbone of small towns, and I thank you all.
Thank you.
Monty, over here.
I'm going to have to put my glasses on. Can't see. My name is Monty LaBorbadir. I have a letter I think I furnished to all the board members, and I'd like to read it into the minutes and have a few comments afterwards. That's it. I won't take long. My name is Monty LaBorbadir. I am a town of Amenia resident. I come to you tonight with a situation that I've been trying to get help with from town officials for over 6 years. My wife and I own a 2.5-acre lot in South Amenia on Route 22. In 2007, the planning board required us to provide them with a complete site survey, including topography and fully engineered plans for a sewage disposal system. accompanied by a letter of approval from the Board of Health for a maximum 3-bedroom home. Upon receipt of these things, the planning board then approved us for a 2.5-acre building lot that to this day remains vacant. During this process, our engineer discovered that there were no records of any kind on file with the Board of Health for the neighboring lot owned by Scott and Beulah Boyd, B-O-Y-D. We were extremely surprised that their new house, built in 2000, was not required to have similar septic requirements as were we. Apparently, the Boyds had an existing mobile home on the property for years, and in 2000, they applied for a building permit to replace that mobile home. Every form on record with the town clearly states replacement of mobile home. In 2001, the town issued a CO for the new home, and to this day, the original mobile home that was to be replaced remains on the property. The zoning board is now in the process of approving the use of this 1.1-acre lot for both dwelling units. It's a little ironic that since this lot has never been assessed for more than one dwelling. My main purpose for being here tonight is to ask the town board to step in regarding the sewage disposal system for these two dwellings. The Board of Health was led to believe in 2000 that the original mobile home was to be replaced. Therefore, they allowed the existing sewage system to be grandfathered and used as it had been previously used for one dwelling. The problem is that this was not the case, since the original system servicing 2 bedrooms had actually doubled. The Boyds did added modifications to accommodate the added use, but unfortunately, their leach fields and possibly more at their own admission are on town of Amenia land. I found this out 2 years ago when the Boyds asked me if I was planning house construction on my building lot. And I answered yes, someday, and they were very concerned that if I were to build, that the heavy construction vehicles would damage their leach fields that run across town land and parallel to the front of my property. Incredulously, I asked, "You put your leach fields in front of my property? Why did you not put them in front of your own property?" And their response was, "We never thought you would use your property for anything requiring access from Route 22. For years, I brought these complaints to the building and zoning departments, the Dutchess County Health Department, the New York State Department of Transportation, and the Zoning Board of Appeals, but each set of officials has refused to take action for a host of technical reasons, even though there is no dispute that the Boyds septic system is not approved for its current use and placement. Given the Boyds' recent admission that they place their system on town land, I am now asking the town board, as the body which is responsible for our town's land and its uses, to stand up and require the Boyds to produce Board of Health approved plans with a full site survey showing what and where their system, showing what and where of their system, along with proof that their sewage disposal system lies within the confines of their own property lines with proper setbacks. It is simply unacceptable that the town would continue to turn a blind eye to such a flagrant violation of town codes, especially one that may threaten the health and safety of our entire neighborhood. On a final note, it cost my wife and I over $7,000 for all the engineering that the planning board requested us to do on our lot. Our Board of Health approved specs require a double tank system designed to pump liquids all the way up our hill and over to an area that passed perk and depot tests. The price tag for this system is about 40 grand. Had the Boyds followed proper procedures, they would have incurred these expenses as well. Instead, they avoided this expense by burying their unapproved leach fields on town land. And if the town board is not interested in correcting the situation and is willing to allow the Boyds to continue to use town land in this unlawful manner, I respectfully request your permission to amend my plans so that my properly engineered system can be installed elsewhere on that town land. Now that's the letter. I have a few comments. I would like to request from the town board, it's been going on for so long, different administrations, nobody does anything. I would like a written response to my letter from you guys stating what you will or will not do. And I feel that the town is sidestepping the Board of Health approval for the boards by saying that the Board of Health is taking no action at this time. That is true. The reason they take no action is because they wait until there's a septic or environmental emergency. I don't want to wait till then. The reason for having septic systems on record with the county and the town is to make our environment safe and ensure drinking water wells are far enough from neighboring septic systems. The town of Amenia is the enforcement agency, and the Board of Health only responds to environmental hazards and recommends the town to require homeowners to get Board of Health approval for their dwellings. So the bottom line is what our town board is saying to all our town residents who shelled out a considerable amount of dollars to get Board of Health approval to receive building permits, whatever. In 1998, we were spanked by New York State for issuing permits and COs without any regard to Board of Health approvals. I don't want to see that happen again, and it's almost a year, and I was very encouraged by this in hometown, November 2012, headline saying, Amenia stands strong for its laws and environment. That's what I'm asking you to please do. Because I don't think we should wait till this is a problem. There's a lot of people who live down there on that corridor on Route 22, and they don't need their wells poisoned. Thanks.
Just to bring you up to date, we did receive your letter a month or so ago. I have had conversations with John Fenton. He's looking into it. Obviously, that's going to be part of his job. I've also instructed our attorney to take a look at it and see where we are, but obviously we're not in the position tonight to answer your questions. Okay. So he will answer you at some point as soon as we can possibly get the
that's what I'm asking.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Tony?
Good evening, respected members of the board. Tonya Shumatoff. I'm speaking as the New York Watershed Manager for the Houstonic Valley Association. I attended a very interesting flooding resiliency roundtable for the Hudson Valley. As some of you may know, the funding has come through from New York State for education for new municipalities about flooding resiliency. So the purpose of this very important roundtable was to bring together scientists, academics, Cornell, the New York State DEC Estuary Program, and municipalities and all of the watershed groups to discuss what we can all do to reduce vulnerability to flooding, not just in an emergency, but planning-wise. So I just have a little page and a half from my notes from the event, which I'm going to share with you. And I've just handed out a very useful handout that was prepared by the Dutchess County Environmental Science Advisory Network on stream management for flooding purposes and what municipalities can do. So as you know, due to climate change, we can expect more and more precipitation and flooding events and sea level rise and even coastal rise in the Hudson Valley, up to 75% precipitation increase. I'm sure you're aware we've had some heavy rain events even in the last month. So the idea is to basically implement resiliency strategies while responding to these emergency storms and still protecting our streams. The idea, as you also may know, some of you and also on the planning board, is to infiltrate the water on site before it gets into the drains, before it gets into the streams. Because as many of you know, when there's a big flooding event and it washes into the streams, you've seen it get very muddy. This affects our groundwater and our water quality. So a lot of people in our villages are dependent on what are called point-style wells that are still getting water from the groundwater, and if the water is polluted from flooding, that's not a good thing. The other idea of this program is to do an education outreach project for highway superintendents and for supporting local officials to identify the areas that are the problems, which means doing an assessment. It's important to help the residents of the town to understand the negative effects of removing or cutting down the trees next to the streams, the riparian buffers, the negative effects of dredging or removing of woody materials, and to understand stream dynamics. That's talked about in the paper I gave you. After Hurricane Irene, which by the way was $45 billion worth of damage, there was a lot of inappropriate stream engineering by towns that caused much, much more damage because the streams were channelized and bermed. So doing a needs assessment is really important. These presentations are now being made to all the towns in the Hudson Valley, mostly on the Hudson River side by the coalition of Lower Hudson Conservation Districts, Cornell, and the New York State DEC program. The bottom line is that all communities and municipalities need to learn a lot more, and they need to know about flood insurance programs. So there was just a program on that last week. There's also 2-day trainings for superintendents at Cornell called the Cornell Local Roads Program. That's for the highways guys. And resource materials have been prepared for landowners who live near rivers and streams. And there's a document that's been prepared called Who to Call After a Flood. So it's very important to identify what properties are in your town that are threatened by erosion and that may have serious problems in the future. I would say that your Silo Ridge area is very steep and may have some serious erosion problems during construction, which the planning board has looked at very carefully and quite responsibly. But the main point was that local government is the first responder, and that you're the guys who make the land use decisions and can really implement post-flooding changes and planning that redesign the infrastructure, the bridges, the culverts. As you know, that happened after the big flood in Wassaic. Kippy Weigelt widened the culvert, solved the problem. It was very good. So most municipalities are not well prepared for floods in a changing climate and need to learn how to navigate the available sources. So towns are also being encouraged to partner for road and infrastructure designs and sharing what they're doing on their roads. And also the Trees for Tribs, which I'm going to give you a handout on, is being offered free for plantings to be planted along the riparian zones. There was also a presentation by Cornell about the need for community adaptation, that's sociological adaptation to changing climate. Dutchess County's Science Advisory Network has put out a lot of information about this. FEMA also has a document, which I'm wondering if you guys have. It's called Desk Reference for Floodplain Management for Local Officials. Do you have this?
I believe so.
You do?
So
all right, I'd like to give you an extra copy to give to Stanley. Stanley's the most important person to have this. There's a disconnect sometimes between sort of the old-fashioned thinking of some of the highway and superintendents and what's happening now. So there's a little learning curve here, which I think is really important that you encourage your highway superintendent to do. And finally, I just wanted to say that we at the HVA would be willing to seek funding, because this resiliency program is only funding the Hudson River side of Dutchess County, not the 10-mile river side. Our watershed goes into the Housatonic River. So because I represent the Housatonic River Watershed Association, the Housatonic Valley Association, we would be willing to seek funding for a presentation to educate not just this town, but the surrounding towns about what to do about flooding for municipalities in the Harlem Valley if there is interest in doing that. So if you could let me know, we could apply for a grant for that. We could bring all these wonderful experts out here. I definitely learned a lot from this symposium. And I think it's extremely important because I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. And there's a lot that we all need to look at. And one of the, I mean, there are practical things too, like giving initiatives for landowners to plant the trees near their streams by giving them some tax breaks. There's a lot of really good information in the handout that I just gave you. So that's about it for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is for family.
It's worth pursuing.
These are trees for trips. They're free.
You want
And
to?
this is for you.
Thank you.
Are you going to write the? Is the grant available now to write, or is that something that has to be done at a later date?
I need to know that there's interest in it, and if you can let me know at a later date, I will write the grant.
I think so, too.
HDA, we have a development director. We'll write the grant.
Well, I would think that we should move forward with it. Obviously, if we can get the towns, local towns together here, that would be something that you should probably pursue.
Okay, so you'd like me to pursue that with our development director?
Sure.
Okay, very good.
What exactly will the grant be for?
It would be to bring together a forum of experts on the flooding resiliency and what municipalities need to be planning for, not just for emergencies, but long range.
Okay.
And to have that information presented in the 10-mile river valley, which has not been presented before.
And you could coordinate it with Nina and the CAC also.
Yeah. I've offered to do a program for Nina's planning board, so we may do that. And the other thing I want to say is that trees for tribs are free, and if you guys let me know what to order by January, and you want to plant some near some of your tribs, where you have development like at Cumberland Farms or wherever the other places are, we can order them for you. You just need to get the volunteers to put them in.
Okay. So you're going to pursue that?
Yes, maybe even Gretchen.
That sounds lovely.
Okay.
You have my email address. It's right there.
Okay.
That's it for public comment.
Okay. Good. Next on the agenda is the William Henry hearing on a 426 Old Route 22, the unsafe building violation. Tonight's hearing is based on the unsafe building on Old Route 22 on 262. It does not have anything to do with the zoning. It will only be on the structure of the building tonight. Obviously, John Fenton is going to make a presentation first as to what's been done and so on and so forth, where we are. There will be no public comment other than Mr. Henry and John at this time, and the board will listen to the comments, and we have an opportunity later to discuss it with the board and our legal attorney as to how we can move forward with this. Okay?
Yeah, I think the way to proceed is, John, if you could, you submitted a report to the board at the, prior to the July 25th meeting. If you could just summarize that, and then when you're done, the board can hear from Mr. Henry. If he has witnesses that he wants to call, he can do that. I spoke to Dawn Marie earlier, and I thought it would be a good idea for anybody who's providing testimony to be sworn in.
I, John Fenton,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
to tell the whole truth,
to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. John Fenton, Code Enforcement Officer with the Town of Amenia. The structure we're talking about is a storage barn located at 426 Old Route 22. The owner of record, according to the tax records, is Bill Henry. On June 6th, a order to remedy was issued, basically pointing out that there were some structural issues with the barn. That was delivered to Bill Henry and Devin Irby. Okay. No action was taken on Mr. Henry's part at that time. Threat of legal action started mid-June. At that point, Mr. Henry and Mr. Irby requested a meeting with myself, Nina Peak, and Victoria Perotti to discuss maybe some type of process of remedy. We delivered the remedy in a two-part report. On June 19th, I posted the barn as unsafe due to a potential event that was going to happen on the 21st and 22nd. At the end of June, I think it was probably the last board meeting, I requested that the board allow me to use the town engineer to do an on-site inspection and put together a report on the structure. On July 11th, Bill Rohde and myself performed a structural inspection of the barn that was converted from an agricultural use to a human occupancy use. It is my belief that the structure is unsafe and is in need of repair, so to prevent collapse from forces of nature like snow loads, high wind loads, live loads, etc. Mr. Rohde performed the inspection and he had three primary concerns on the structure. The first concern was the floor framing. The beams were very soft and rotted, and they were in the need of replacing. The columns supporting those beams were undersized, and the support columns were inadequate in the sense that they were undersized, but the footing themselves were not deep enough. And then the anchorage on all the framework was inadequate. Most of it was rotted and on the verge of collapse. He felt that the anchorage must be inspected and redesigned by a third-party engineer. We needed some type of calculations from a third-party engineer and showing that the anchorage would comply with the state code. So that's where we're at.
And John, as you know, the board at the July 25th meeting issued an order that a notice be provided to Mr. Henry ordering that the barn be repaired in order to make it safe.
Correct.
There was a notice that was served on Mr. Henry. Can you explain how and when you served the notice on Mr. Henry? I
personally brought the notice down to the barn location. Mr. Henry was not on site. Devin Irby has been chosen to be his legal representation, and he accepted service.
I have a copy of your report that you provided to the board for the July 25th meeting. I don't think Mr. Henry has a copy of that. I'm going to give him a copy. If the board has any questions for John, you can ask questions. Otherwise, we'll hear from Mr. Henry.
I've spoken with Devin. He's going to probably tell you the same thing, but we did sit down at one point. We talked about the issues of the structure, and I think they plan on pulling a permit after they get the engineer's report on the remedy.
And just to be clear, what the notice ordered Mr. Henry to do was to submit a plan within 30 days of service of the notice by a licensed engineer.
Correct.
Does anyone have any questions?
Fine.
Did you take photographs at the time, just as a record?
Yes.
Did the
Yeah.
engineer take photographs?
I don't believe Bill
But
Rhodey
you-
took
you have
photographs. I
some.
have photographs.
Okay, good.
And John, just, sorry, the date that you served Mr. Henry or served Devin at the property, when was that?
I was just looking for that. Do you remember, Devin? Yeah, I actually have a affidavit. I could provide that. I don't know if I can
Sure.
provide it this minute. If you need that, Ian, I could email it to you.
Yeah, that's fine, John.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Henry?
Yeah.
Raise your right hand. Mr. Henry, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Just in
August 13th.
Okay.
August 13th.
That sounds right. Just in general, we are prepared to do what is necessary to bring the property up to the standard. You're free to ask any questions that will lead me further in what you want to know.
I guess my question, John, is that what has to be done with the barn at this point to make it compliant?
Mr. Henry needs to come back to my department with a report from an engineer, his own engineer, addressing the three issues with the floor framing, the support columns, and the anchorage. So he needs to come to us with a plan on how to correct these violations, and then, once it's been reviewed, if it's compliant, they need to pull a permit for the construction of that.
Okay.
Okay, we're prepared to get a permit, and we're prepared to do the work necessary to bring this up to standard.
Do you have an engineer that's going to look at it before?
We do.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so at this point, we just have to let him do.
Yeah, the order and the law, Chapter 44 of the Town Code provides that you have 30 days from the date of service of the notice to present a plan to the building inspector. And then you'll have 60 days from that point in order to make the repairs that are necessary. So you have, if the notice was served on August 13th,
Right.
you have till September 13th to submit a plan to the building inspector.
Very good. We will do it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
I just have a quick question, are people living in the barn?
I understand that I was to speak to the problems of fixing the barn, and that's what I'm going to do.
That's correct.
I believe there still are people there.
Well, I just wonder about the unsafe conditions.
Sure.
Can you go up to the...
If the hi, Nita Peak, Plan Board. If the structure is brought up to code by accomplishing those three tasks and also a building permit is pulled, is that to render the barn structurally sound for use as a barn, or is it to render the barn structurally sound for use as a habitable structure?
Well, it's just for use as a barn. As far as I know, it's not approved to be used as a residence.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Do we have anything else to do with it at this point?
No,
We're all
just
set?
close the hearing, and
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Mr. Henry, if you have anything else you want to say on your behalf? Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second?
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Prody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Town clerk's report. We have minutes from 7:11, 7:23, 7:25, 7:30, 8:06, and 8:16 need to be adopted.
I spoke with Gretchen, and she's asked that we hold off on 7:11 and 7:25, and only the Tuesday meetings that were sent to you, which were 7:23, 7:30, 8:06, 8:13, and 8:20.
Okay.
Did you make the change? Yes. Oh, thank God.
We're still missing some minutes from the September, October, November, December 2012.
I was not your clerk in that.
I know, but you did the minutes, correct?
No, they're not all done. The ones that were done and approved by the former town board were presented. The ones thereafter were not.
But I thought we paid you to do these.
Not all of them. I didn't do them. When I left your office, they were left for the person that,
The next person in that position?
Are they
Okay.
available to be done?
yeah, we can,
Okay.
I know we talked about it in the beginning of the year, if you wanted to give them to another,
Okay, so we need to
give
get
them
them
to
done.
Katrina or give them to Mary or to whomever.
Okay.
But, those were the minutes that have been submitted to the board. So I didn't know if you wanted to go ahead with just the Tuesday ones and wait for the Thursday ones to the next meeting.
It's up to you. It's up to the board.
I'd like to let you guys go ahead with the Tuesdays.
Yeah, I don't, since Vicki Doyle was at most of the Tuesday meetings.
You want to just wait until the next?
I'd rather, yeah, have you heard from her at all?
I have not.
Yeah, so.
Do you want
I
to just
think-
wait on them?
I think we should wait on it because, you know,
Well,
this is
just
very
so you know,
small.
they've been submitted, because if anyone was to ask, they are available to the public. So once they're submitted to you, they're available. They're not online, they have not been approved, so they're still in draft format.
Mhm.
But I just, every month I'd like to submit them to you, that way you have them,
Yes,
just
okay,
so we don't go through what you have in the past. So
okay.
whether you approve them or not, just so the public knows that
Yes,
they've been submitted
yes.
and they're complete. Also for the town clerk's report, I just wanted to let the board know that $338.50 was turned into the supervisor for death certificates, dog licenses, marriage certificates, marriage license fees. Also to let everyone else out there know that the doe permits are on sale, and they're going to be on sale through October 1st. A reminder to the board that tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. we're opening the bids for the Main Street grant. Highway bids were opened on 8/14 and awarded on 8/20. And then the only other thing I have for the board is inquiry regarding the open volunteer grant helper. I've only received one applicant. I didn't know if you wanted to,
What's this for?
to help out Mike. A month ago, you asked me to put an ad out and ask for help for the volunteer grant helper. It's been on our website. I've received one application. I didn't know if you wanted to, Cheryl Morse has submitted an application. So I didn't know if you wanted to advertise in a different means or put
Where'd you advertise?
just on our website, just here, and you announced it and it's on the television. So I didn't know if you wanted to extend that a little longer, another month, or you didn't give me a close date.
Sure, why don't we, can you put it in the, does it cost us money to put it in the Poughkeepsie website? Or no?
Poughkeepsie, yes. In the
Okay.
newspaper, yes. But you can usually do a little blob in the Millerton News. They'll put like a little
Okay.
help one.
Do a press release.
Press release.
Press release or whatever.
Press release.
I know Tanya wasn't interested, but I don't know where she is at this point.
Well,
Also.
the other thing I was thinking, we could, because the universities are opening up again, and they're going to have the students are going into public service courseworks where they may want to have the opportunity to work with a grant writer, and we could get free advertising on university campuses in the county.
How do we do that? You send it out to them?
Just send it out to their department. I could
Want to
look
help
up.
us with that?
I could do that.
Okay.
Why don't I'll look up a list of I'll look up the universities, and I'll find the department contacts, and you get me the verbiage.
Okay.
And then we'll trade.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, we'll get it. Okay, great.
Okay.
And we'll do that this next week.
Next week.
By next week, yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
You all set?
That's all I had tonight. Thank you.
Discussions, the only thing I have is Tony Robert. I have a letter from the Assessor's Office of August 11th, 2013, to the Supervisor and Amenia Town Board members, reference reappointment of Board of Assessment Review member to the Supervisor and Town Board. Anthony Robert's term for Board of Assessment Review will be up 9/30/2013. Mr. Robert has been chairman of this board for a few years now and has done an excellent job in this position. I'm requesting that the town board consider and approve the reappointment of Anthony Robert for another term. I know we've asked for other volunteers and so on and so forth, and actually it's been real getting the volunteers. I know Tony's done a great job.
Yeah, I think we should.
I would like to reappoint him now
Reappoint him.
and get it done, if that's okay with the board.
Yeah, have we advertised in the past, though? I thought we did, even though he's...
Just even a pro forma advertisement, I think.
That's up to you. If you want, I know we've done it in the past that the board is required that we advertise, but we're not getting any new volunteers, so it's up. If you want to do it, that's fine, but I just as soon appoint him. He's done a pretty good job. Don't they have some stuff that's coming up here in the next month or so that has to be done, assessments and so on and so forth? September, so it's not like we have a lot of time here.
Well, since there isn't a lot of volunteers.
Well, what is the pressure? I mean, why does it have to be...
I think don't they have a review here shortly, the assessors?
Well, we did get the letter about the assessments, the percentage.
The Board of Assessment Review when they met in May.
Right.
Yeah,
All right.
in May.
So they meet
I would
the third
just
Tuesday in May.
see if someone else is interested. I mean, I thought we had made kind of a policy for that we advertise, and just to be consistent.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a pending meeting.
Yeah, you could do a press release. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's someone
He's
may...
done a great job.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Absolutely. I'm sure. So
I'd like to keep him on.
yeah.
I have some discussion items.
Before you jump, we'll do the press release, and when would you like them due back by?
As soon as possible.
2 weeks?
Before the next meeting.
We can have them due on September 11th at noon, and then I'll be able to circulate them for the September 12th meeting.
That sounds great.
Perfect. One of the things I have for discussion is the boiler. To date, no information has been given to the town board to discuss at town board meetings so that the taxpayers know if there is a plan and what the cost will be and how it will be paid for. I know that some boilers have been looked into, but I think the total board needs to have the information and it needs to be discussed at a meeting for transparency. Removal of the old boiler not in use and purchase of a new boiler needs to go out for public bid. And per my conversation today with John Scott, who services the boilers, the working boiler has been inspected and can be used, but needs to be cleaned. The non-working boiler has to be decommissioned, as the oil, steam, and water in it are connected to the working boiler. I'd like to make a motion to authorize John Scott to open up and clean the working boiler, in addition to decommission the non-working boiler and purchase materials such as a flange to accomplish this.
To answer your questions, we do have companies that have been here. Darlene and I have been working with several. There are no proposals at this point.
No, someone was here
Yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yesterday, the day
Or
before
today?
they were here.
Was it today or yesterday?
There's 2 people here today.
Yeah.
2 people here
I
today,
talked
and
with the
I know they're
people-
coming back. I received another call from another company that's coming in, so at this point, that's...
And I had asked him when he would have some information, and he said
Okay.
late next week.
I have no problem with him servicing the boiler, but as far as decommissioning the other one, I don't think that's something he should be doing. I think that should be part of the original, the bid when we get ready to do this. whole
Well, it's
thing.
something he can do. And the problem is.
Well, it's not just, the problem is the boilers are full of asbestos, so who's gonna do the asbestos remediation? That's what we're waiting for at this point. If he's got the insurance to do the asbestos, then that's fine, but I don't think he does.
Well, to
I know-
decommission it, all he is doing is,
He's leaving it in place, that's what you're
it's
talking.
yeah, it's not going anywhere, but the oil, steam, and water in it are concurrently connected to the working boiler. So that would.
There's not a valve to shut it off?
No, you need to, there's actual process you have to do to disconnect them.
Can
Well,
John
I-
just give us a report?
Proposal?
Yeah,
He
that's what I would like to see, what it is and what it,
I
I don't
know
want to
the last one that
overlap.
was here, Troy Boiler was here, they've been here twice to look
Yeah.
at the thing and see where we are. I know the last time I talked to them, they were waiting for they had an asbestos company here to look at the asbestos on the boilers. To give us the cost. I haven't heard a word from them at this point. So there are 4, there's one, Harkness, Troy Boiler, who's the other guy? that's here?
Signy, I can't
Yeah,
think.
Signy,
Can't
Tremble
think
out
of
of
the name of them.
Wappingers.
But he should at least be cleaning the boiler we are going to use.
Sure. That's normal maintenance, I would assume.
Nobody has authorized him to do it to date. That's why I made the motion. If you want to get a price on the decommissioning, but I think he ought to be authorized to open up and clean the existing boiler that we're
Sure.
using.
That's no problem.
What, how do we pay him? Is it
By the
just
hour.
by the hour?
Yeah.
Does he know any idea how long it would take? I mean, I think we just need a cost on this.
Well, he does it every year. I mean, he does it all the time. He's the one that's been taking
I just need
care
a
of our
cost.
boiler.
A cost would be nice.
Okay.
And if he could just give us a cost for doing that. I just don't want us to, I mean, we have to do something soon, and I don't want an overlap of what, some of these proposals that we're expecting, overlapping
Let's not pay
with the
twice.
existing work.
Right.
But we're going to be keeping one of the boilers, so shouldn't it be clean?
That's maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, for example, if we do wood chips, it's a totally different thing. I mean, who knows that we would keep it if the biomass would be a good replacement for it instead, that's all.
I'm just wondering where all this information is from Troy and whoever else has been here.
You'll get it as soon as, there's no proposals.
No, we don't have any
Other than
proposals.
the one that was made public, that's it.
Yeah,
But now they're still looking at there was a company here the other day that if they do that, we don't need a boiler, correct?
that's right.
They don't need a boiler.
Yeah, so I mean, we have to weigh it all out. I'm not sure that's the
Right.
right way to go, but
It's not an easy
I
process.
think we need to weigh everything and, you do a spreadsheet. So as far as cleaning it, I'm just asking right now a cost for cleaning it. What is that typically?
I don't know, we can get an estimate
That's
from
an
him.
idea.
Yeah. Well, if he did it last year, he has an idea. So,
And the other thing I think we should be discussing is the highway garage. We've had a stable hollow construction presented the town board with a pole barn information for construction of the new highway garage in February. And we haven't moved forward very much since then. We did have another architect, Joe Uvinen, who actually has been at the highway garage and did an estimate. He did the work for the highway garage in Ankrum, where they gutted the interior, took off the roof, took out the walls, and then just put the pole barn alongside the existing building. Now, the other thing that he could, you know, give us a cost estimate as to the complete demolition of the highway garage. But right now, we don't have a plan or anything that can go to an engineer at this point.
We do. We authorized Stan to...
The last meeting.
At the last meeting, yes, authorized a limit for the budget for an engineer.
And he said they couldn't do anything until they had the plan with
Pete
the
Sotero was
modifications.
here earlier this week, and he was supposed to stop by or call me. I haven't brought the plans with me. I thought Stan would be here. So
they're
Pete
done.
Pete hasn't picked them up yet. Yes, because it's, you know, it's a coordination with the boring tests that we had. It's just not something where you put in a pole barn. It was a landfill, and these poles are not all going to be at the same depth. So we need the engineer to do the right depth according to the Dente report. And Pete Sotero has already been to the highway garage. He was supposed to stop by my office or call me, and I haven't heard from him. So I have the plans with me tonight.
Okay, and one of the problems we have right now is the roof needs to be repaired. The electrical is compromised. The fire department's been there a couple of times, and water got in the alarm. Water's gotten in the smoke detectors. The last time it leaked that badly, the water got into the electrical, burned up one of the hanging lights, which burned to a crisp and fell on the ground. I did get some estimates. Some of the estimates are to do the whole roof. I don't think we want to do that at this point.
Well, we told Stan to get the quotes the last time.
Well, those are the quotes.
Okay.
And
Well,
then
this is
the least amount is PJ
Right.
for $2,400. I think it's $2,450.
That's just to repair what's got to be,
Yes.
to make it watertight for the winter for now.
Yeah, because,
Right.
you know, we start
Right,
getting
it's obviously got to be fixed. So
storms.
I'll make a motion, we accept the bid of $2,450 from PJ Exteriors to repair the roof, of the town garage, so we can get it at least
A
watertight.
second.
These are,
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman
these are
Brody?
the same company.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzelberger?
They've worked on it before.
They're two separate, or it's one,
One is to do the entire roof,
right?
one is to fix to stop the water, because there's one wall that's missing at one wall.
But we can accept different scopes from the same company as two separate
Sure.
bids?
Yep.
Okay, then yes. Just checking.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to discuss is the voucher system. We had an auditor here from the controller's office, and one of the things she found is that there isn't a checks and balances in place the way it's currently being done, as the bookkeeper does the entire process. She receives the vouchers, she enters them, she pays them out. What was recommended by the controller's office is that the town clerk's office should get the vouchers in abstract, which should be numbered, and the abstract also has to be numbered in addition to the vouchers being numbered prior to the town board meeting to verify the amount on the abstract matches the amount on the corresponding voucher. And that town board members should be receiving the information on the vouchers and abstract prior to the town board meeting. And then any rejection or adjustment to any of the vouchers, there is a rejection or adjustment memo that's in the law book that must be completed for any changes on the vouchers. And I wondered when we were going to put that into place.
If you'll notice that there are no vouchers here tonight to sign, so we are starting that as we speak. So you should have them by Monday or Tuesday, I would think.
What are we starting?
The new voucher system. You know, we cannot vote on them and sign them the same night. So the vouchers are not here tonight. There is and I don't even know if we can do this, the transfer of funds is done, so I don't know if we can vote on the transfer of funds until we look at the vouchers, or we have to wait for that also. So that's a question I had for Ian.
Because we have to vote on to.
You know, the vouchers have never been done
Accept
correctly
them.
in years in this town, so, you know, the auditor was here, So they've always voted on it, looked at them and voted on them and signed them at the meeting, which is not good practice. So they recommended that we, obviously the board members take a look at them either before the meeting. We'll have to change the way that the vouchers have been paid within the town system. So that's just what we have to work out.
Yeah, we were supposed to be doing a motion or a resolution to authorize the supervisor to pay claims, and we haven't been doing that. That was also part of the process that they recommended.
Correct.
But you can...
Can we vote on the resolution to transfer the funds so that once the
Yeah.
vouchers are done, then we can pay the bills?
Correct, yes.
Right? So that can be done. That's what I thought.
And I wondered where we are with the budget process, because I don't think any of the worksheets have gone out yet.
We're being prepared as we speak.
And we'll be scheduling meetings with department heads in September.
Yep. Like we normally do. If they show up, that's another thing. Any other discussion, board members?
I have my PSA. Darlene, did you have anything? Did you have anything?
I didn't hear you.
Did you have any public?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Now, you want to do town board comments, or is that what we're doing, discussions?
I have no discussions.
Go ahead.
I just finished my discussion.
Okay. Gretchen?
I have the purchase order and the supply reports for everybody to review. One of each.
What, this?
Yeah, take one of each.
This?
Did we come to a conclusion on the playground cleanup?
No, I think we're still waiting for another bid to come in and clean up for the park in the back, though.
Okay.
We have 2 bids, we haven't gotten the third one.
All right. We had a couple of outages of the email and the web system. Worked with BAS, and we've made some changes. Tim made some changes to the service. I'm going to say the service, but I don't mean what we're getting as an end product, but technical stuff within the computer system. And we're monitoring that. So we're hoping for one more outage. If we can get one more outage out of it, then it'll allow us to put in a fix that should prevent future outages. So I know it sounds a little weird to be sitting there hoping that your computer systems will go down, but that's where we are right now, and that would be a good thing, and it would be like a 5-minute outage kind of thing when we see it. So if anybody sees any slowdown when they're accessing the system remotely, or if you go to get in and you can't get in, please call BAS right away. You'll need to call them by phone to let them know. But that's what we're waiting for. I spoke to Mr. Freeman on the Council on Open Government regarding our FOIL process. Dawn Marie, you and I discussed this at length, and he did confirm that we do need that written. He gave me the 20-page document. I'm exaggerating.
Is this something we just
We just have to adopt it, fill in the blanks as appropriate. So Ian, I'll fill in the blanks, send it to you, and then we should be good to go. Essentially, we're doing things right, which was my big question. Are we, we've gotten 2 times someone hasn't been able to get the information they need. Is it something that we're doing wrong? And the overall, how we're doing it, in essence is correct, but it just needs to be thoroughly documented, and we just need to have people signing off on things, so we have the
that have now been
checks and
took
balances.
place yesterday? Are those, have you already implemented new
Not
forms?
implemented. yet. I haven't done any,
Okay.
no, because it's your area. I would absolutely discuss with you
Okay.
before we had just had the general discussion.
Okay.
So I just wanted to let you know that I did reach out to him, have a good conversation with him, and so we're not in any trouble with that, but we need to be a little bit more picky.
Well, there were some changes yesterday, so I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if you were involved in that.
No, no.
Okay.
Let's see. Then we had the emergency notification for the road closure for Mygat Road. Stanley was scheduled to do the work on Monday, but the road collapsed over the culvert in a section. Mother Nature got him by 2 days. So we went to do the emergency notification. We were able to do the website update, but we weren't able to get the television, a scroller put up on the TV. So the only thing people knew was that the road was going to be closed on Monday, but they had no idea that the road was actually closed Saturday. It was? Oh, thank you, Mike. I had run out, so I must have missed that. Yay, okay, so we did get the scroller up, and we did get the website updated. So those two things were great, other than the fact that the way I found out about it was by Facebook. So if we could just let the whole town board know when there's emergency closures, so emergency notifications can go up on the appropriate places, that would be super. And if I hear anything, you guys know I'll send you all emails and call you, text you at all hours of the day or night. But it was good to move forward and use more of our resources that we're paying for to send out announcements. And I guess the biggest thing I have to say of all is that I got the TEP grant done for the, I got the proposal done and in on time. And so I'll be putting through that assistant grant for Mike Haggerty. Is that paid position or is it volunteer?
It is budget season.
Oh, okay. So we'll hear.
He's not using it.
We'll hear at one point or another, but that was one thing I wanted to do starting in May, and so it's in there. And fingers crossed, I'm taking my swing at the piñata of the sidewalk to the plaza. We're calling it Sidewalk to the Plaza project. We had to come up with a fancy name, and that was as fancy as I could get it. It's 11 o'clock at night, so.
Okay.
That's all I have, Bill.
All right. Resolution number
62.
2013 transfers funds, whereas the town board has authority to transfer funds when necessary and unanticipated to amend the budget, and whereas the town budget line 3501.3 state aid chips requires an increase in the amount of $16,304.02 for the Department of State Transportation, letter dated April 24th. It was originally budgeted for $57,482. But per the letter, it has been increased to $73,786.02, and whereas the town budget line 51122.3.112 requires an increase in the amount of $16,302.402, and whereas the town budget line 19304.1.000 requires an increase in the amount of $600 for the purpose of attorney's fees for John Tubaleva settlement, and whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 special items contingencies requires a decrease in the amount of $600, and whereas the town budget line 90504.1.00 unemployment insurance requires an increase in the amount of $1,716 for the purpose of unemployment insurance for James Fraley. And whereas the town budget line 19004.1.49 requires a decrease in the amount of $1,716. And whereas the town budget line 2010 senior trip fees requires an increase in the amount of $1,120 for the purpose of senior trip fees. And whereas the town budget line 67724.187 programs for aging senior trips requires an increase in the amount of $1,120. And now therefore be resolved that the town board authorizes the transfer of funds from necessary budget lines to process the transaction. I'll make that motion. Need a second.
Second. Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle's absent. Councilwoman Hinselberger?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. Supervisor's report. Couple things. Supervisor Flood, Amenia Town Hall. Dear Supervisor Flood, on behalf of the students and administration of Weavertuck High School, I'd like to send our sincerest appreciation to you and everyone who facilitated the uses of the town of Amenia baseball field this past spring. It was a major help to all three of our baseball teams, and we're very thankful that we were able to work together so well. Please pass along our appreciation to all involved. We look forward to working with you in the future. John Zenz, Athletic Director of Weavertuck High School. The September 7th meeting of the former supervisors of the town. We have 8 former supervisors that were invited. 3 so far have responded. And Ralph Incerello obviously is ill. I don't know if you know that. He's in Sharon
She's at Healthcare Center.
Healthcare Center, but she's actually doing pretty well.
Oh, that's good.
Willow Lane, the drainage on that has been almost finished. The Highway Department's done a great job. They worked a couple days here, and I was there a few days. I was there today. They've got the drainage in, the new drainage in where it's supposed to be. The county was there today, and everything seems to be okay. I did speak to Stanley about Mygat Road. The signs, the closure signs were put up, and someone removed the signs and removed the barriers. So we have to be careful as to what's going on with the town roads. Someone took the barriers down, threw them off this. Right, but they took them down and threw them away, threw them off to the side of the road, so don't know. And that was fixed also. They've done a great job with that also. The workers' comp, Town of Amenia workers' comp fee for Dutchess County self-insured workers' compensation for the period of January 1st, 2013 to December 31st, 2013. The total amount due is $9,500, comprised of $5,700 for the highway fund and $3,800 for the general fund. We have to remit by October 1st, 2013. This is a plan that I worked with the Dutchess County. We were asked to join through Mark Molinaro. We saved $19,500 in our workers' comp policy by making the switch to the county policy, the shared services with Dutchess County. So that's a great savings that we have. We've also met with the Dutchess County Director of shared services, I believe, and we can buy office supplies, printing, and so on and so forth. So the printout, I think Mary gave them to everybody, so we can check the prices for that, so we can save some money with that stuff.
They also have a fuel depot,
They do have a fuel depot.
which is at the sheriff's station.
Yeah, that we can, if we need to.
For the highway.
For the highway.
Yeah.
Yep, that's something we should take a look at. It's something that, I don't know how it works or what the prices are. We can also buy fuel oil, but
Should I just shoot the information out to Stanley?
I think Stanley
and
probably knows
Judy,
it for
or-
sure.
Okay.
You can try.
Does already know
One thing here. Today at the Dutchess County Fair, the Coons Brothers Farm in Smithfield won grand and reserve grand champion of the Guernsey Open Show.
Wow.
Also, the farm won junior grand champion, premier breeder and exhibitor, and also I believe they were given best farm in Dutchess County. So they've really done well. They really did. That's a big thing. There's a big plus. Kudos to the Coons Brothers Farm and to Amenia. It's a great thing to have them here. And they have very good milk. The Willow Lane, that's done. just to answer Frankie's comment about the senior trips, I think the board should be recognized also that we put the senior trips back in that were taken out by the rec commission. So we do receive some.
They weren't taken out by the rec commission.
They were taken out.
They were taken out when Pat Kelsey resigned and wasn't going to do them anymore.
We put them back in, so I think that we should get some recognition for that. Other than that, I have nothing else to say, and I would make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. Oh, what do you have?
The PSA.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to hear a couple things?
One more thing. Let me just finish this.
Okay. This month, I thought I'd do something a little different, and because we did complete our required information technology PSAs, I picked up a health PSA from the Dutchess County and the CDC health sites, because, you know, I was there looking at the water stuff, so what the heck. Anyway, there's been an article on CNN about back-to-school plague, which kind of intrigued me. But what they were talking about is every time you send the kids back to school, the kids get sick, they come home, the parents get sick, they go on the train, everybody else gets sick. So I guess that's why I get sick in September. So they say, be healthy going back to school, wash your hands, eat a good lunch, get a good night's sleep. They recommend 10 to 11 hours sleep a night. Dawn Marie, do you 10 to 11 hours for the
I don't
kids?
get 10 to 11.
No, for the kids.
Well, if we end soon, maybe we can get home and go to bed.
And then if you are sick, please stay home. So that's our tips from the health department on how to be healthy when you go back to school. Mostly wash your hands. They were very big on the wash your hands.
And say your ABCs as long as you're washing them.
There you go. Or sing yourself happy birthday.
Yes.
And that's for you. So thank you very much.
Arlene? Yep.
I won't take long. I just thought I'd say a couple things here. What's going on? Arlene Juliana, town historian. Would just like to tell you that I did what events I've been attending and what's coming up. A couple of things that are coming up that you may already know about. I did attend the Northeast presentation, the Northeast Historical Society presentation on in July. It was on the railroads, the Central New England Railroad. It was very well done by Bernie Rudberg. I didn't know the man, but he was he's from Hopewell Junction area. Did a great presentation, a freebie that the Historical Society put on for us. So that was one thing. I also went to the commemoration of the, I had it all written out. I'd be better if I didn't write it out, to be honest, right? Sometimes this stuff slides all over the place. I went to the commemoration of the ratification of the U.S. Constitution by New York State. And this was held on July 26th in the front of the courthouse. I think there was quite a few people there. I think I was the only one from Amenia, but there were obviously other people. It was very well done. Alexander Hamilton's Constitution there. And then we went over to the post office and saw murals that also depict that same, the delegates and how they were seated in general. A great picture over there. Some of you may have already seen it. I never saw in the Poughkeepsie post office. But that was very, and then in that evening, there was a presentation at Caneen Hackett, and this was by Professor Andrew Shankman of Rutgers University, and he talked about the discussion that was held basically between Alexander Hamilton and Melancton Smith. Melancton Smith is a local Dutchess County agricultural farmer at the time, and this was obviously in 1788 when they did sign, New York State signed the Constitution as the 11th, I think it was 11th. The bill, and then they also, thanks to Mr. Smith, they added the Bill of Rights, so that New York State really went on the map, so to speak, as the 11th signer of the Constitution. In other words, these are the kind of events that are being, and that, I had never been in Cunning Hackett. I don't know if you guys have been. It's quite an interesting little,
I have.
and it was. So that particular theme, which is a part of the democracy thing going on here in the county. And then on, I went to Hyde Park and to FDR State, where they had the presentation of the first copy of the Acts of Congress, which had some signature, had some notes in the pages by George Washington. Anyway, they have a new museum section there devoted to FDR and his family and the times that he was in office. And so that was an interesting day. I don't think there was anybody else from Amenia there that day. In other words, I am showing up in places so they know I'm there, and they do know I'm there, which means they know Amenia's there. But anyway, I have copies here for, keep this stuff on for you guys, because some of the stuff, because you said if I don't give it to you, it ain't going to go in there. You might be interested in this. This is a pamphlet that was available at FDR State on this particular event. The book that he signed, George Washington,
Thank you.
was only there for a couple of weeks. So it was an initial opening of that particular museum area by having this original copy of the Constitution that was signed and had notes in it by George Washington. And that's, as you'll see from reading this, that's traveling around the country. So we're part of a national tour of people having the opportunity to see, and hear about George Washington, that particular book. I'm also going to, there's an upcoming events out in Poughkeepsie and Fishkill. One is a Civil War reenactment at Bowdoin Park. That's on September 14th and 15th. I plan to go there. They're giving space to historians and other agencies or people for display purposes, and I have displays. So I'll bring it, obviously I'll emphasize those who participated in the Civil War from here and events here in this area. So, and then on the 21st and 22nd of September, Fishkill is having a Revolutionary War weekend. I don't know if I'll get to that one, but I do plan to get to the Civil War event. So, I don't know if anybody else from Amenia, possibly
Arlene,
Bessie Strauss.
there's a walking tour on September 7th in Wassaic. Do you know what time that is?
I think it starts at 10.
At 10?
What day?
Yeah. That's
September 7th. A walking tour of Wassaic.
Yeah, right.
Tour should be over by the time that's why you moved it to the
That's the Ramble.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well,
With
if
Janet.
Vicki was here, she would probably tell you
Yep.
that specifically. But I usually participate in that.
It's usually
That's
10
the
to
same
12.
day, and I did send that I would, be present at your little get-together at 2 o'clock.
Better be.
If I'm late, only because I'm down there in Wassaic, I'm really
Come get you.
terrible. But anyway, there's been some very interesting events planned by, by the Dutchess County historian and tourism, DC tourism. They're really doing a great job, in my opinion, at this point. They're really trying to, and so I get to what I can get to on behalf of the town of Amenia. Okay, for free.
Thank you.
I notified Linda Higginson from the Dutchess County Tourism, and she's going to be bringing books here with all the events that are going on in the county.
Yeah, because they are preparing.
Yeah, she said within the next 2 weeks she'll be dropping books off here with all that information.
Arlene, I just wanted to say I'm glad you're here tonight because you've been mentioned online. You're actually being quoted in articles about New York history now. So that was picked up on our New York history about old roads, byways, and the history of the community.
I knew he was going to get
And
her a copy of
yeah, Peter Feynman
Yes, right.
actually quotes our town historian. I
That's
forwarded
right.
everybody the article, and our state legislator Mike Kelsey picked that up, and so that has been broadcast
Hey, we put
throughout the
you
state.
Put you on the map.
You're famous.
So thank you for representing Amenia, and now you're just your reputation is now statewide.
Oh, don't get excited over it.
Thank you.
Put a link on the media website.
Keep it cool, will you, people? Keep it cool, right.
Just a couple more things. As you notice with the landfill, they're finishing up the cap. They're putting the topsoil on now. So I'm hoping sometime in September that should be done. I did speak to Liz Rovers about the art that was wanted to be.
Yeah, if we could do something.
Yeah, you can, as long as you set it on top. You can't.
No footings or
No
foundation.
footings, no
So it
foundation.
has to be something that.
Something that's going to be stable on
standalone.
that she felt that would be okay.
Okay.
But so.
Question, and please don't laugh. Pat Nelligan's idea about putting the public laws up on the website, just scan them and put them up. What do you guys think? Does it make us liable for anything? Could we do it if we
You're-
wanted to?
Actually, you should do it. Any documents that are resolutions or local laws, anything that's going to be discussed during the meeting, open meetings law now requires that they be available to the public.
I think it's a better way to make it available than on a bulletin board, which I know is the one thing that's written and required,
But does, I think we do. Does she put the drafts up?
not on the
No, she
website.
only put up the public notice on.
Just the notice.
All right.
I make a motion that we go ahead and when we have public
Well,
laws
it's
or
not
other
law.
attachments,
It's law.
we go through with it and do
So
it.
for draft format, does it have to say draft across it?
Draft. Yes, yes.
It doesn't have to. It's probably a good idea.
So the
because it's
exact
Let's-
email that you send me, so when I
Let's
send
add
it to
draft.
them, he's saying no. So
send
I
it
send that
to-
exact same thing to Mary? I would then, because she's the one that puts everything on our website.
Usually I send a copy to her as well.
So then she just needs to know the Friday morning afterwards that she can go ahead and put them online.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that.
So when she's putting the public hearing notice on, she could put,
One of the issues is having it available in time, and I'll try to, make sure that I get it, assuming I've got enough time to prepare
are
it.
you referencing local laws or all
Well, just
resolutions?
any
where we-
resolutions or that, I don't know if you want to put them all on website. They have to be, the law requires you to make them available. I'll have to check to see if you're required to put it on website or not.
When I read it, it just said it had to be on the bulletin board at the town clerk's office. But I think in the case where we're having a public hearing in particular, that should be on the website so other people can get it. Not everybody is here
Yeah,
in town
representing.
during the hours that the clerk's office is open or the
Well,
building
we
is
can put as
open.
much as you want on the website. It should be done. There's no question. I'll talk to Mary. She's already texted me anyway, so it's already, we'll take care of it.
Thank you,
We're
Mary.
on the ball. Thank you, Mary. So we're already going, so that's fine.
And speaking of senior trips, we had our first one Tuesday. We had 28 people who went and enjoyed the lovely grounds at the AquaTurf Club and the show and good food and good companionship. And it was, the weather was perfect and it was a good day.
Good. I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Brody?
Yes.
Councilwoman Hitzberger?
Yes.
And Supervisor Slack?
Yes. Thank you, Mike.